Hi guys, so since I finished work fairly early today, as we were breaking up for New Year and stuff, I thought that it would be a perfect time to sit and record my favourite books of 2017 video. Sorry for the dodgy lighting, but again, winter lighting sucks. It's only like 2:30 in the afternoon, and yet the lighting still is not great, so I do apologise for that. But yeah, normally I do a top 10 books of the year. But to be honest, it was quite hard to find 10 that I could honestly say were absolute favourites of the year. Like, I set my goal very low. My Goodreads goal for the year was only 15 books, purely because I wanted to set sort of a fairly easy target, because it gives me anxiety when I see the Goodreads reading challenge thing go in the minus. I really don't like it. So I thought, you know what, I'll set my goal as 15, because I really like now just picking books off my shelf, not worrying about how big they are, not worrying about the goal really. So I like to set sort of a lowish goal for that reason. So I set the goal at 15. I actually read 54, and I had a very good reading year. I read loads of books that I can honestly say I really wanted to read. I accepted less books for review and just read whatever the hell I wanted. But it was hard to pick 10 that I could honestly say were like bam 10. Like, so I've picked 8 favourites. Like, that I read more than that I really enjoyed. I could have picked literally all Lisa Kleypas books and said bam, but I wanted to go through and pick my genuine favourites of hers as well. And as I'm reading this, it's the 29th, so I could still finish another book, but I doubt that I will. So yeah, these books are in no particular order. I couldn't put them in order of favourites either. But the first one is actually 3 books, but I'm counting them as one because they are part of the same series, and that's the Ravenal series by Lisa Kleypas. She's definitely an author. Like, I've read books of hers before. I read her Bow Street Runners series a couple of years ago. I'd never picked up anything else by her, and I have no idea why. And then this year I've picked up a fair few of her books, and I've been absolutely loving them, and I've definitely found a new favourite historical romance author. They read very much like Regency romance, but they're actually set slightly later in like the Victorian period. But if you like Regency romance, you should love these. So this is her Ravenal series. The first book is Cold Hearted Rake, which I really enjoyed. The second book is Marrying Winterbourne, which is my favourite of the 3. And the third one is Devil in Spring. And the series isn't over. The next book comes out next year, which is one of my most anticipated. But yeah, I absolutely love these. I think I gave them all 5 out of 5. Absolutely love them. Highly recommend. Then a definite favourite was Night of Cake and Puppets by Laini Taylor. I read this in one day. It's absolutely beautiful. The story's beautiful, the writing's beautiful, the illustrations are beautiful. This is like number, is it 2.5? It's like a novella in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, which, as you guys know, is one of my absolute favourites. And it's about Carue's best friend Susanna and the boy that she has a crush on. And how she finally one night decides to get his attention, magically get his attention. It's really good. If you're a fan of Daughter of Smoke and Bone, I highly recommend that you do read this, but only if you have read Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I wouldn't pick it up by itself, because there's just some references and stuff, and it won't be as enjoyable, I find. So the next book that I read, or that was a favourite, was The 101 Dalmatians by Dodie Smith. I absolutely love both of the Disney adaptations, the cartoon and the film version. So when I saw this in the bookshop and I saw this beautiful edition of it, I was like, you know what, I'm going to buy that and actually read it. And I have to say, it's really nicely done. I really enjoyed it. It's not the same as the Disney adaptation, but it's fairly similar, and I think if you enjoy those films that you'll like this. It's just a really fun sort of feel-good book. It reads very fast, and I do love that it's from the dog's perspective, which makes it very unique, and it's very funny, very tongue-in-cheek, and highly enjoyable. So I really recommend that one. That was a very quick read. I would also say that I absolutely loved Every Little Thing by Samantha Young. This is the second book in her Heart's Boardwalk series. I really like her on Dublin Street series, and I also really love her standalone, well, I say standalone, it's just had a novella release to it, but I love her book Hero as well. She writes contemporary adult romance, and they're really good. This one was fun because it's about two people that have always had sort of animosity towards each other. One of them, Vaughan, is a very wealthy sort of city man, millionaire really, that's come to the very small seaside town Heart's Boardwalk and has made, you know, a very big contemporary hotel that Bailey, who owns a very small sort of B&B type inn, can't stand him because he's the absolute opposite of everything that she is. So you actually meet these two characters in the first book, and they have this sort of animosity then, but you can tell that actually they have an attraction there. And yeah, it's a really enjoyable book. But again, I would read the first one before reading this one, but if you enjoy contemporary adult romance, that's a really good one. Another one that I would say I really enjoyed was Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. This was very much a hit or miss book for people. I think no matter what with this, because it's his book after The Fault in Our Stars, people were always going to have a lot of feelings about it. You were going to love it or you were going to hate it. When I was reading it, I knew that I would have to put The Fault in Our Stars out of my mind because I absolutely love that book. It's one of my absolute favourites. And I didn't think it was fair to judge this book wrong or rightly against it, so I tried to read it on its own merits, and it was a bit weird, it was a bit wacky. I do feel like the case of the missing, you know, billionaire and everything it's a bit of an odd one. I do feel the end's quite rushed, but there are moments where it's quite staid as well. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed his adaptation, or not adaptation, but his portrayal of OCD type thoughts. A lot of people have said that it's not an accurate portrayal. I actually could relate to not the exact thoughts that she had, but the spiraling of it. I thought it was very accurate. I mean, for me personally, I just felt like it was really well done. A bit of an odd one, but I did really enjoy it, and I read it quite quickly. So yeah, I did really enjoy that one. The next one would have to be Etched in Bone by Anne Bishop. It took me a fair time to pick this one up because normally with this series it's one of my favourites. I talk about it a lot. They come out about March time, and normally I pick them up straight away. As soon as they come out, as soon as they're delivered, normally I'm reading them. But with this one, it took me until quite near the end of the year to pick this one up, but I absolutely love it. It's so odd. This series is in a place of its own. I've not personally read anything quite the same. I absolutely love the characters and just everything about this series. There is going to be another book, but I don't think it's going to be directly related to this one. I think it's set in the same world, but it's not going to have the same characters, which really upsets me because I absolutely love Simon and Meg. I've been waiting for such a long time for a romance between these characters, but it's been so slowly building, and it's just absolutely wonderful. And towards the end, I kind of get what I want. So I was really happy with that. And it's just an absolutely fantastic series, so if you haven't checked it out, because I don't see much about it on BookTube, but it's an absolutely fantastic series. And then the last book that I'm going to show you is another Lisa Kleypas, and that's Because You're Mine. And this is really what started my obsession now with getting all of Lisa Kleypas's books and reading them. This was the first one that I read after reading the Bow Street Runners series a couple of years ago, so I picked this one up. I just picked one at random and I absolutely fell in love. This is just one of the best historical romances that I've ever read. Absolutely love it. It's really kind of in two parts. It's a little bit different for me for what I would like. To me, it's got a different plot. Like, I love that It's about a girl called Madeline. She's quite young. I think she's 19 at the start of this. And she runs away from school because her family is going to marry her off to this rich lord, but he's absolutely odious. He's so much older than her. He's disgusting. He belittles her. And he's just literally a chauvinist pig, basically. And she just can't do it. So she decides that she'll run off from school, get herself ruined by this very famous actor, you know, and women throw themselves at him, and he's just so handsome. And she says, well, if she can get him to ruin her, then she won't have to marry this odious lord. So she runs off, but he actually is not the womanizer people think he is. He's actually quite, not selective, but he's had his heart broken in the past, so he's very controlled around women. So she ends up working at his theatre, and all the people that are in the theatre fall in love with her, think she's lovely, but he tries to stay away from her. Eventually he's ill, she looks after him, and he kind of admits that he's attracted to her and loves her. But then as this happens, her family track her down, and he feels betrayed once again, feels used because she's lied about who she is, and he feels betrayed. So he sends her away, wants nothing to do with her. But there's something that brings Madeline back into his life, and it goes, and oh, I just love it so much. So much. If you love historical romance even a little bit, you must pick this one up. So those are the books that I enjoyed the most in 2017. Moving forward into 2018, I don't know what I'm going to set my reading goal as. I don't know really what's on my reading list. It will be a surprise for all of us. So thanks so much for watching, guys. If you've read any of these books or you want to, let me know in the comments down below. I always like to know. Also, let me know what some of your favourite books were in 2017. I always love reading the comments. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Happy reading.